All right, all right, all right. What's happening? What's going on? TGIF. Thank you, everyone, for coming through. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. You can be anywhere on this Friday night. I know a lot of us have to be home. That's what we were told to do. But you could be spending your time any kind of way. So, because you decided to come here, I definitely appreciate you. Believe me that. All right. Hope everyone is doing pretty well. Um, I will say I'm on maybe week 3 of lockdown. I'm not quite sure where you all are. It has been interesting, and there really isn't much I can do about it. So I have to do the one day at a time. Really, I do. And I try to encourage everyone to do the same. It can get rough. Um, I can't believe it, but we're probably going to have a panel of dealing with this within 30 days. So around the 30th day, I'm going to ask how people are spending their time, how they're managing, and all of that, because I think it's important. Um, some things we can share with each other, how we're dealing with it, how it would work out for us, because it's nothing nice. It ain't nothing nice. And I will tell you what's going on in Chicago. We have as of April, what day is it? I don't have the date on here. I thought I had the date on here, but it was sometime earlier this week. Received a email, and they're stating that what they're going to do now is open up some vision centers because they're finding that people do have essential eye care needs. And what they're going to do, open it up for people. They're going to have so many appointments, and they're going to, it's going to be reduced hours. Of course, it's not going to be the stores open like it used to be and you get in there and look around for frames all day and all that. They're not trying to do that. They're going to get you in and get you out. That's what they're going to end up doing. So they're starting to do that now. Also, Walgreens are having drive-through for the virus testing. I found that's kind of interesting because there are some drive-through for the pharmacy. So I guess they say, hey, we're going to use that, open it up for people, and they can have the testing and it kind of keeps people as safe as they possibly can and they get a chance to be serviced within their car. I think that's a good idea. What else we have going on? Oh, in Panama, one of the young ladies told me what they're doing in Panama. That's where she lives. They are also have their utility bills deferred for 3 months. So they don't even have to contact anyone. It's just automatic. That's what Panama is doing. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And that's all their utilities. So they got 3 months on that as far as deferment. And they also have a structured way of when you're able to leave the home. Now here they're asking us to just be, just go out for your essentials. Do not travel in groups, 6 feet apart. And that's kind of much what they started off asking us. Then they ended up saying, okay, not everyone is taking that advice that we're asking. So what we're going to have to do is cut some people off because they're hanging out in front of the liquor store. So the mayor said, okay, I got something for you. No more liquor sales after 9 p.m. So they announced that. Also, the police is riding around. They see some groups or whatever because they kind of deep on the far south side, I'm told. I have a couple of friends that live far south, and they're like, hey, they hanging out here having a party. Police come through, try to stop them, and they break up, of course, and then they peep out. Oh, it's safe, and they come back out. So they're not really being serious about it. And that's so unfortunate because I say we're the parents, and because these are some younger people. And if it's not just younger people, you have a couple of people that know better in their 20s and 30s. Why are you all doing that? You know, I get you. It's kind of tough just being inside. A lot of these people don't have homes, they have apartments. It's just maybe nothing to do, no internet service or whatever's missing, and they want to get outside. I get it, but you need to be safe. And some people are just not taking this serious enough. I even say if you don't believe it, that's fine, but you're going to have to deal with your laws, the regulations, laws. You're going to have to deal with that. There's nothing you can do because you're going to end up paying. And who wants to be up in jail? Who wants a fine? Who wants to go to jail? You don't want to deal with all of that. So just, okay, let me just look on the porch. Let me sit on the porch. Let me go out early in the day, go get some air, and come back like I'm supposed to. And there you go. Because they did say, you can go for a walk. You got pets, because there's a lot of folks that have dogs in Chicago. Go ahead, walk your pet. But the group thing, no. Stay indoors. It's just crazy. Let me find out what we got here. Got some comments and let me say some hellos. All right. Greetings, Mr. KD King. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming through. Let me put you in here because once I start typing your name, I'll start remembering you. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. All right. And then we have a supporter. Let me put that up. Boop. All right. And let's see. Now back to Panama. I didn't finish telling you what I had to tell you there because they have it structured in a way where women go out certain days and men go out certain days. Isn't that cool? They're not playing with the people. So the women, they're able to go out Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Their men are able to go out Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays. And the time, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. That's it. That's all you get. Nothing else, which means no one is outside after that. You get your 2 hours and that's it. You get nothing else. So I bet you they don't have a lot of issues, no, a lot of cases or anything like that. I bet you. And I will follow up with the young lady that told me about this. I'm going to check it out and I'll mention that to you guys because that may be a good idea for us if folks want to be hard head. Go ahead and have certain days for them and certain hours and see how life will become for them then. And let's see what I found also in the grocery stores. Um, Now they did start letting just a few people in. That is true. They started just letting in a few at a time. But when I went out this past week for groceries, they even changed the number of people that allowing to come in the store. They're standing right at the door. They're wiping down the carts. They're counting the people. So they're not playing. They have tape outside on the sidewalk to distance people and have you to stand outside in case they have a certain amount of people that they want inside. They have one way in and one way out. So they had a second exit. Can't use that anymore. You only get one way in and one way out. Restaurants, two people at a time. That's it. That's all you get. You want to get some takeout, you're going to stand outside. If you didn't call that in so you can walk up to the counter and grab and go, then you stand outside. Also, on my way to the grocery store, I take the public transportation there and back. I go to board the bus. There's a sign saying go enter at the back of the bus. I'm like, what? I went to the back of the bus, and as I was walking to the back of the bus to get on it, I'm thinking to myself, do I have to pay? That's what the kids do. They sneak on the back of the bus. Do I have to pay? And guess what? I didn't have to pay. And so I waited a little while and then I went up close, not that close, to the driver and I had a conversation with her. And I asked her, I said, is this the new way of life? And she said, yes. She said, make everything safe. We're going to have everyone to get on the back of the bus. And she said, the fare boxes will be in the back. She said, but this is the first day we're doing this, which was Thursday. This is the first day we're doing it. It wasn't enough time. They just implemented it. And this is how it's going to be to keep the bus drivers safe. I thanked her for that information. And then I went and sat down. I waited a little bit later after it was close to my destination. And I asked her, I said, do you know anyone personally that had been affected? And she said, you know what? I can't talk about it. I respected that and told her to be safe, her and other drivers. I feel for them. And I went and sat down. And then I only had a couple more stops and then I got off. And I'm like, wow, this is no joke. None. You can't joke around with this. These people are not playing. And you know how you may say, well, I don't know anyone and all of that. That woman wasn't playing. It was that bad for her. She just didn't want to talk about it. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to respect that. I can hear the inflection in her voice. That lady was distraught. And you have to think about a lot of our drivers in Chicago anyway are 45 and over. So it's no joke. So that's our new way of life now. We enter the back of the bus. No, you staying away from that driver. They're not taking any more chances because they've been losing. Well, I'll just say affected. I'm not going to say losing. Infected. And then the last thing, what I found out today, there was a meeting. The mayor went to meet with a couple of people, and they went to one of the convention centers here in Chicago. If you've heard of McCormick Place, she went to the McCormick Place, checked it out. After she checked it out, she made a decision and said, okay, we're going to have 1,700 beds, actually 1,750. Have that for those that are fighting this, the patients to come to there. I'm like, huh? What? I'm like, oh wow, this is really something. Now I don't even know what to think about that. I'm like, okay, they're not going to a hospital, or maybe they're just literally out of beds or whatever. I'm not for certain, but they're opening up a convention center. I'm like, this is really serious. I'm speechless. I really don't know what to say about that. But they, announced that earlier today, and I'm a little baffled with that. It's nothing. It's nothing to play with. It's serious. And all I can say, because my heart has been heavy. Um, like I said, I truly have to fight daily to get through this because you keep hearing things. And I'm a problem solver. I like to solve problems. I got where this came from, who can I help, how can I help, all those type of questions I have, and I do not have the answer. So that's just me internally just fighting, you know. But I also have to say we have to just obey what we're told. I know we want to fight the system. You can't tell me what to do and all of that. But I just ask everyone that is listening to please be safe. And that's all I can say. Please be safe. Oh, wow. Wait a minute. Who is this? Who do we have? Let me get my thing together here. I think we have a very interesting person, and it is who we always happy to see, and that is the classy, classic Ruby. Everyone,
Thank you, thank you. Please, no, no photos, no autographs right now. I'll be signing after the show, though. No, so
okay, welcome. Good to see you, and thank you for joining the panel. I appreciate it.
thank you for having me. Always a pleasure.
Cool.
If I could just say one common sense thing, though, just one common sense thing. Listen, everyone, like if you don't know, you'll find out at some point my views on COVID-19 and the way we handle viral epidemics inside of this country overall. But I just want to point out one thing. This is an airborne virus. That is to say, if you cough, sneeze, or you just breathe it out and you're ill, right? Then people within 2 meters of you, or that's about 6.5 feet, can catch it. But if you're on a bus, okay, that's a closed system of air. Like, it's different when you're outside or you're in a giant place like say a Walmart or something where the air has time to dissipate and go somewhere. This is a bus. It's like a tunnel. So if you're gonna go on the buses, and I'm glad they're trying to do something to minimize, bus driver, contact and whatever. But if you're going to go on buses, please wear masks. If you're going to go anywhere where you're in closed air with other people, please wear a mask. Cover your face. Because it doesn't matter what they try to do. Ultimately, when you're in a box like that with a bunch of other people, you're pretty much breathing in other people's air. And I know this as someone who, like, I have a weak immune system. So I'm very prone to catching things. And
Oh,
one of the things I have to do is not take public transportation. I can't. I can't. If I get on a bus, like say Go Transit or something to go somewhere, whatever people have on that bus, I'm going to catch. It doesn't
oh
matter if
boy.
they're sitting at the front of the bus and I'm at the back or vice versa, because it's all in, you know what I mean? It's circulated air before it gets anywhere near the ventilation system. It's traveling all over the place in the bus, right? So, like, just think about that. Wear a mask. Hopefully, they're arming all the bus drivers with masks, or if not, the bus drivers are wearing masks themselves because I mean, it's one of those things where it's a necessary evil. We need people to operate our public transportation and to get people from A to B. But at the same time, we have to recognize that, if you're going to be this close to people, the best protection you can do is to, have your air filtered. And the best way of doing that is a mask. So I just wanted to say that.
Thank you. I appreciate whatever information you have and advice. That's what it's all about, sharing information, getting it
Hmm.
out there. If we
Exactly.
don't love us, who will?
Exactly. Exactly. And I just I'm just going to point out the obvious that, for the numbers we have of COVID-19 worldwide that doesn't touch the number of flu that we have just in the United States alone. Number of people who have the flu. And people die from the flu at a 4% rate. So I'm hoping we learn something from this. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
just because we're used to having just because we're used to having H1N1 around now doesn't mean it's less serious than it was 10 years ago when it first came back. You know what I mean? Like, we got to
yeah,
stop dismissing these things like, oh, well, all the other ones aren't dangerous, but COVID-19 is. No, they're all dangerous. They all can affect our most vulnerable populations. You know what I mean? And right now they're affecting us at a higher, like I said, 4%. 4% of 15 million is a lot of people. 4% of 20 million or 35 million, I think, is about how many people every year get the flu, 35 million, and 4% die. That's a huge number.
that
And now
sure
imagine
is.
Right? Now imagine if we had something in place where people were actually just trying to minimize contact during cold and flu season. We're trying to, wear masks if they have a cough or a sniffle, because just because it's not bothering you doesn't mean it can't make that elderly person over there very sick. You know what I mean? Like we just have to start using more common sense and care when it comes to these seasons that come out, because it is impacting other people even though it's not impacting you. um, I know last year my grandmother, so if no one knew this, because you've forgotten already, last year we were very concerned about a strain of the flu that came out, that if you got this flu it turned into pneumonia. Everyone who got it, you start off with the flu, it turns into pneumonia. Now, for my grandmother, she was in a long term nursing care type home because she had stage 4 cancer. And a lady inside of her ward got pneumonia, right? And they actually initially
Hmm.
thought it was a bacterial pneumonia, not really contagious, blah, blah, blah. Within a few days, my grandmother was hospitalized, and a few days after that, she died, because what they found out was actually no, the first lady had had that flu and had given it to everyone on the ward, including my grandmother. And my
Oh no.
grandmother's immune system wasn't strong enough to fight the pneumonia, so she passed away, right? So, I mean, this was very serious last year, but we've forgotten it already. That strain of the flu didn't go away. So, we've got to start being a little bit more vigilant, because every year we have new strains. They're always morphing and this and that. And we think, oh, I got a flu shot, I'm fine. That only protects against a few strains of the flu. It doesn't protect against every strain of the flu that's going around. We got to be smarter.
And I always say one size don't fit all. So that's what I
Hmm.
think about them flu shots personally.
Yep. Absolutely. Hey, people get, I mean, it does really happen where people get these vaccines and they still catch the flu that they were vaccinated for. So, I mean, they're really good. They're about 98% effective, but it's only protecting you against a few strains of the flu. Only a few, right? It's kind of like, for women, you might know this. So they have the vaccine against HPV, right? And so you give it to young girls who haven't had sex yet, and it protects them against HPV, which is genital warts, because some strains of HPV especially cause ovarian cancer, and cervical cancer. So it protects you against some strains, but it doesn't protect you against all of them. And see, that's what people think. They go, "Oh, I'm protected against the warts. I'm fine now." No, there's like 200 strains of these HPV. It's protecting you against, let's say, 80 of them, right? So there's still a lot of the
Yeah.
other ones out there. We need to start being informed about these things. It's not like a magical wand. Like,
Yeah. I agree.
hmm.
Um, it's almost a year, not quite. But what I'm going to do is for the advice for today, we're going to pull a video, which is actually my first video.
Ooh.
And that actually is why the title of this stream today is If Your Date Didn't Offer to Pay, Here's What It Means.
Mm.
We'll have open panel. Everybody, well, mostly everybody can join in, give their opinion, and let's see how this conversation go. Because we're ladies, we have what we want to say, but what are some of the guys that has gone through it, will go
Hmm.
through it? Let's see. So let
Hmm.
me share my screen. See, and then I will see if the audience can hear. They will tell me. And let's see what we got here. My first letter here is received. Is written by a lady,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
right on into it. The young lady writes, "I met a guy, and he wanted to take me out. We decided to go see a movie, and what we did is met up at the theater. We got up to the window, and the guy started patting himself as if he forgot something. He then turns to me and look and say, I forgot my money. I stood there for a few moments contemplating if I should embarrass him or be a lady. I chose to be a lady. I paid for the both of us. The whole time we were there, I didn't speak to him. He even had the audacity during the movie to attempt to rub my thigh. I moved away slightly and continued to watch the movie. When it was over, he asked when he could see me again. I just smiled, wished him good night, shook his hand, and left. Did I play that too cool? Was I too nice? What would you have done in that situation? All right, so she asked three questions.
Wow.
All right, I'm not gonna make it stop playing. Yeah, so those were the questions that were asked, and I didn't play the answers that I've given on the stream. Let it be fresh, let it be new, and see what we come up with. Um, I'll just say one thing, and then I'll, let you speak, and then some others who come into the stream.
Mhm.
Um, I understand that today is different. It is a different time. I get all of that. But what I will not excuse is if the guy asks me out and we didn't have it where I'm going to pay or anything like that. Well, honestly, with me, I'm not going to assume. I'm really not. Um, I'll mention a date that I had, and the guy told me where he wanted to take me, and I knew how much it cost. So I told him no, I would rather go somewhere else that was cheaper. If anyone know about Giordano's Pizza, a pizza
Mm-mm.
pie is definitely $20, and that's just the minimum. That's not even
Ooh.
with everything that you want on there. That's your small two topping. That's it.
Wow.
That is it.
Mm. Okay.
And I know I want more than just that. And it depends on what you want on there because I got to be all strange. I don't want any meat on mine, so I want the mushrooms, I want the peppers, and I want the onions. I'm like, okay, I already see we're over whatever, and it's a first date. I don't like a person spending a lot of money. I just don't want them to spend a lot of money first date. We really don't know if we like each other. We really don't. So no, I'm not going to do that. Let's go where it's everything's included on that $20. So that way, if I decide that I want to offer to pay and you just refuse or you accept, I can pay because that's all I'm willing. $20, that's it. You know. So I'll just say that, and then I'll let you join in, and I'll see if anyone joins us for the conversation.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say first of all, and I'm gonna have to stretch my mind a little bit here to be fair to modern times. So I I will, because I don't ask men out, I don't approach men, I don't suggest dates. Now that's not because I'm trying to get out of paying. It's because I do believe a little bit. I'm a little traditional, right? So I believe a man asks a woman out, he takes her out, he foots the bill. I do believe that. I also believe though if I'm on that date and I want extras that, are reasonably not included in that kind of date, that I should pay for it. Or that, for example, when I was younger, right? So he offers to take me out to the movies. He offered a movie. So he's going to pay for the tickets, right? And then he's like, "Oh, you want some popcorn?" I'll be like, "Yeah," and I want a drink, and I want nachos, and I want this, and I want that. I'm willing to foot the bill for all of my crazy extra snacks, right? Like I'm willing to do that. And I think it's right to do that because shouldn't be an assumption he's thinking, well, I need $20 for the tickets, and then I need an extra $50 for the snacks, and no, right? I don't think that that's reasonable, especially when you don't know me and my tastes.
Yeah.
So, okay. Um, I do think, right, and like you, I do agree with the fact that if she is the one who asked you out, then I do think it's on her. The onus is on her. She made the suggestion. She asked you out. She said where y'all are going. She made the plan. Then it's on her to pay for it. Um, and so I do think that that is a fair way to go about it. Um, but the one thing I cannot see, I guess, is if you guys made a mutual date, let's say, oh yeah, I think it would be fun if we hook up. Yeah, sure, okay. And then he said, yeah, let's go to a bar or something and blah blah blah. And then the check comes. I do think it's the chivalrous thing for him to offer, like, none of this ridiculous, like, oh, I forgot my wallet foolishness. Like, that is such a punk thing to do. Like, you didn't bring your wallet, or you forgot it before. You know what I mean? Because this is the modern age.
What?
Okay, this is the modern age where if you forget your wallet before, like, there was no way you were getting money, period. But now you can e-transfer people. You can. There's all kinds of ways that you can make sure. Hey, listen, you know what? I feel really bad about it. You pay for it. I'll e-transfer you the money right now. That could easily be done unless it's like a ploy, right? So I think it's a chivalrous thing to do if you're a man. If you expect her to pay for herself, or God forbid, to foot the date. I think that's incredible, but fine. I'm trying to stretch here. That you say it in advance when you're making the plan, right? Um, Seriously, we should go Dutch since we're just getting to know each other. Or hey, you know what? I really would like to go out with you, but I'm kind of low on funds. So since you said you wanted to go to this place, if you foot the bill this month, then by next month when I get paid, then I can take you out. I can conceive of that. But what I can't conceive of is this game. I like as soon as you said that, starts patting himself. I'm like,
Well,
oh
he was
no.
just checking, hey.
No, come on, bro. When did you walk straight from your apartment to there? As soon as you sat down, you didn't feel that wallet nowhere. You knew you didn't have it, which means you never put it in your pocket. And you probably never do because you probably don't ever have any money in your wallet. So please spare me. Right? Just be honest. Be honest and be upfront. Because there are women, listen, I know a woman right now, and this wasn't because the guy was broke. This is just how the date went. So they met up like online, right? And it's like, okay, let's I can't remember, like one of those dating websites, right? And it's like, okay, so
Hmm.
let's meet in a park. So literally their first date was they met in a park on a bench publicly, and they talked, and that conversation went so well they ended up walking and talking for like hours. And then that date naturally led to them walking to a bar to have a few drinks. And then from there they walked to another place to be able to eat and have a few more drinks. Like they literally ended up spending the whole day together, right? Now the plan wasn't for them to go hit up these spots, right? And they both mutually
Hmm.
decided to go to the bar and to the food. So each time she offered to pay her bill, right? This was like, and she's like, no, 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 for real. Like this was not, and he's like, I got you. Don't worry about it. But the point wasn't that he said that. It's, you know what I mean? Like, first of all,
Yeah.
you planned the free date. And the reason why he allowed the date to go somewhere else that costs money is because he knew he had it. You see what I'm saying? Like, I,
So
I'm
you didn't
sorry,
like the
man.
padding, huh?
No,
Yeah.
man, it's weak. It's weak sauce. No.
Yeah, I thought of the same thing, and I would say for that, um, if for me, I like honesty.
Mhm.
I look at that as you playing the game. You actually knew you weren't going to pay, or you
Mhm.
you're playing games with me. That's just
Yep.
the bottom line. So I'm going to offer that you go and get your wallet, and
Right.
I'll wait for you. However you want to do that. You know, um, Only because he started off that way, I wouldn't go with him. Because
Mhm.
I've even thought about that. Okay, how far you live? Or if we discuss that, I'll go with you. But no, because I don't know how much this guy is going to stretch this lie. So what
Right.
I'll do is just say, well, I'll how long it's going to take you to go home and come back, or and just see what he says. If he doesn't even come up, just a minute. If he doesn't even if he doesn't even come up with the idea of going to the cash station, get out of here. You can't even go to the cash station? Are you kidding me?
Right. Right.
Everyone has
Exactly.
a, pretty much everyone has a card nowadays. Pretty much. Not everybody, but most people do.
But like everyone
So,
40 and under has online banking, which means at any point you can send an Interact trade. That's the thing I don't understand. That's why I said like, okay, I'm old school traditional, but I also haven't been out on the dating market for a long time. So, I'm trying to be fair, but I know like if I really forget my money, because it's happened. I'm an irresponsible person. I'm gonna be real, right? I'll be out with my mom or with a friend or something, right? And I forgot. I legit forgot to. My bank card was in my pocket because my card
yeah.
would never make it into my wallet. I don't know why I have a wallet. It's just there for decoration. Um, so I'll forget my wallet or my bank card or something. And you know what I do? I go, okay, can you pay for this? I'll you transfer the money. Or if you can't pay for it, give me 2 minutes. I'll transfer it first
Yeah.
because it's right there. It's at your fingertips. I literally just had to do this the other day. I had to pay for a prescription, and I was with my mom's friend, right? And it was like I was like, "Okay, if you can you pay for it for me?" And she's like, I'm like, "No, no, no, I'm sending you the e-transfer now." And she's like, I'm like, "No, okay, okay, hold on, lady, can you cancel that and take the next people?" And because she didn't have the money in her account, right? Like it wasn't that
Yeah.
she didn't believe me; she just didn't have it free. So I made sure she got the money first. It's so easy to get money from person A to person B these days without needing access to your physical card. As long as you have your cell phone, you have money. That's it. As
Yeah,
long as you
that
have
is
your
true.
cell phone, you have money. Come on.
That's true. But, I look at, some of the traditional ways, which is, go back to the house, I would say go to the cash station. If it's, if that's not your lifestyle, because you got people that do all kind of things. Okay, you said you left your wallet at home, so I'm gonna assume that you don't have a card. So how long it's gonna take you to go home and go get it and come back?
At least.
Let him answer, and then like, okay, well, I'll be right here waiting for you.
Girl, you know
Now,
what answer's coming. Oh, well, actually, I only live 20 minutes away from here, but I was staying at my mama's house to help her out last night, and she lives 2 hours and 45 minutes away from here. So by the time I got there and back, the theater would be closed for the night. So why don't you get this? See, this is the answer, right? This is what you're looking for. After all the lies are spun, you're looking for one of two things. Does he go, so next time I got you, I pay for the date? Or I will pay you back for this one. That's what I'm looking for. I want to know what is your intention? Was your intention the whole time make me pay for this date? And then if I like you, then maybe next time you'll be willing to buy me a movie ticket or whatever. Or or is it that like no, this was for real, a mess up, you know what I mean? Probably not a mess up and you forgot your wallet. It was probably more you're a little bit irresponsible and you messed up your accounting. And then you got to tonight and you realized you only had 11:42 because something came out on Friday that you thought wasn't coming out till Monday, and now you're a little bit screwed. And so you're in hot water, but you know what? You feel bad about it. So you're gonna borrow some money from your boy, from your this, from anything you can to make sure, right? You're willing to fix this if I'm not good. Because, this was not your intention. That's what I'm looking for, right? With your lies and excuses that you're going to drop. Because it's lies. I don't care. As soon as I see the padding, I know it's some lies. I know. I know. You know how I know? Because I said, I'm
wow.
irresponsible. I'm irresponsible. So here's the thing. I know how long it takes me to figure out that I forgot my wallet or my bank card or whatever, right? I
Uh
will
huh.
literally and I will put on the show, right? For like, because I forget my health card, I'll forget all kinds of things. and I'll put on the show like I'm looking for it. But oftentimes, right before I'm supposed to pull out that card, I remember it's not in my purse. Right before. And then, or like I'll put my hand into my purse, I look, I don't see it, and I go, oh crap, it's on the bedroom floor. Do you know what I mean? But
Okay.
so, like, I already knew. So it's not going to take me no patting every pocket. I'm not sure what pocket I put it in this time. But you try to tell me after 30, 40 years of life, you put your wallet in random various pockets. It's not always the same pocket every time. Come on. Come on.
Yeah, and see, I do know, men are pretty consistent. They're not going to be doing all of that. But like I said, I'm gonna give brother out. I'm gonna give him an out because if I got that far, there was some interest I had in him. So I'm gonna just see how this go. I'm just gonna see, and let's see what he comes up with. You gonna go back to the house? How long? How much time it's gonna take you to go and come back? Okay, I'm gonna wait. Now, if I say I'm gonna wait, I would wait, and we have each other's number, whatever we can text. I'm gonna text him exactly at that time he told me. So if he said 45 minutes, the 45th minute, I'm gonna text, how far are you, or how close are you? And I'm gonna see if he responds. And there you go. Now, because the letter was about a movie, if it was a movie I really wanted to see, I'm gonna go on in there and go watch that movie.
Mm,
I sure am. I'm not even gonna. Because it's supposed to start. Because more than likely, I'm gonna get there just a little bit to go to washroom, wash my hands, all that good stuff. But I am going to get there in enough time to go see the movie on time. So we had this discussion. I sent him on off, and he goes and do whatever he's gonna do. I'm gonna go in and get go to that theater, sit there and watch that movie. And if he, I'll set my timer, whatever I need to do, and I'll see what happens. If he
mm,
doesn't respond, I'll give him a little while because it really doesn't matter because I'm already in the theater watching it. If that's the
right.
movie I want to see,
Mm-hmm,
um, I would do that, and I'll
mm-hmm,
see what happened from there. If he shows up, okay, I'll go to the lobby. Here I am, and
mm-hmm.
he done missed the movie. I can't help him. He done missed the movie now.
Right.
I'm not gonna sit there and wait for it again at all. He did that,
Why should you?
not me.
Exactly. You had your ducks in a row. You were on time with your money. So where was his? That you know what? Listen, I think it also comes down to this. Let's pretend he's not a big fat baking liar. Let's pretend. Okay. Then let's pretend he for real A had no idea where he puts his wallet, if he ever put his wallet in his clothes today. Because it's not on his mind that he picks up his keys, his wallet, his this. You know what I mean? Like, you pick up everything before you're gonna go. I always watch my husband do this, right? He picks up his wallet, check. Okay, phone, check. All right, keys, check. Right?
Check.
Like it's like he picks those things up every single day. And even if he forgets to pile them all on the dresser, he walks around the house and looks for those three things before he walks out the door, right? So you have to think about, let's say he's not lying. That means, first of all, he doesn't on the regular carry his wallet, which is why he has no idea what pocket would be in. He's like, oh, it's a special occasion. I'm gonna have to pay for something. So that's number one. And number two, he's a little bit of a scatterbrain or irresponsible, right? And so you have to judge, like, are these qualities that you're good with? Because you might be good with them. Maybe you don't care, right? If you don't care, that's cool. Then maybe this person's fine for you. And hey, me and Char are just talking big, right? And you're like, that's ridiculous. What, a guy's allowed to forget his wallet now and then? Or, and I mean, hey, if you're a feminist, for the record, if you're a feminist, this should not be a problem for you, right? Because this is the equivalent of a woman reaching for her purse, even though she has no intentions of actually paying, to pretend she's being progressive, right? So you should be fine with this as a feminist because, equality. So if women are allowed to do that, men should be allowed to do that too. Whoever brought the money, oops, you lose, you get to pay, right? So think about that as well. Like, how progressive are you? How progressive do you want your relationship to be? Because, like, I don't really want a progressive relationship, though. Like, I like all this chivalrous nonsense. I like a guy who opens doors for me and, you know, pays for the date and, takes the lead on stuff and, he asks me what I want to eat. I go, I don't care. And then he has to run through a list of 60 things that I say no to, right? But it's still on him to suggest the place we eat. I like that stuff, right? It's for me. I like that. So
You're a mess. I got two things. I'm gonna interrupt you one moment. Um,
mhm.
Herbert, he's in the chat room and he has a question. And um, also in Shadra, he has joined the panel. So welcome, Shadra.
Oh, hey, Shadra.
Hey, thank you. Good
It
evening,
would
everyone.
good evening. Herbert, it would have been nice for you to join the panel. I'm sorry that you're not able to, but um, Herbert wants to know about if the man's money is equivalent to a woman's choice, then how are men compensated? Now, for me to answer that question, I don't find a man's money is equivalent to my choice. I didn't meet his money, I met him. So I couldn't answer that as far as how much money you had. Now, if you want to throw some figures out there, I can answer your question directly that way. But other than that, I can't because I don't, me personally, I don't go by that. But it would have been nice for you to join. It would have been nice.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess this is my thing because I've never been the person who cares about money. I tell everyone this that early in my relationship with my husband, first he was in school and then he spent about 2 years unemployed. So, I've never been that person who really harped on money like that. So I don't know. I choose a person. And just as, you chose me by coming up to me and talking to me and asking me on the date after we've conversed back and forth and you decided, hey, I like this chick, I wouldn't mind seeing more of her, right? I chose to say yes because I thought the same thing. So I don't know, at that point your money isn't coming into it at all, like whether you even make money, how much money you make isn't coming into anything because I don't even know if I like you. I don't know if we get along. Actually, and I'll be honest with you, when you're a teenager, when you're a kid, I think going to the movies is a great date. Because honestly, what the hell do you have to say when you're crushing on someone you're sitting next to, right? You're nervous, you're squirmy, you don't know how to be grown yet, but you're trying to be grown. You don't know what you're doing. So yeah, a movie's great. To me as an adult, it's true, right? But as an adult, I
Hmm.
don't think movies are a great first date because I think dating at the beginning. And I understand nowadays, 21st century, y'all are all about this casual sex foolishness. Not for me. So I'm talking about dating. And how do you get to know someone when you're sitting next to them in a dark, quiet theater? Or, you have to be quiet, you can't talk. To me, it's not ideal. I would rather go somewhere where it's, you guys are the main focus and the main feature and your conversation is, and it's all about getting to know, do you like each other, do you get along, do you see something in the world in common to the point where you enjoy each other's company. So I mean, I don't know.
I think you've been listening to my advice on this video. That's what I think because that's exactly what I said. But that's actually how I think. I don't want to waste anyone's time, mine or yours.
Hmm.
Sitting next to you, looking straight ahead, I don't know what's going on.
Right.
And that's what is it? Shoot, at least a minimum of 2 hours. I
Right.
don't even want to deal with that. I want to look at you and look at your body language and everything to figure this out so I'll know what's next.
Hmm.
So with that being said, that's just how I am. But back to Herbert, again, if you have some numbers you want to throw out there, if that was a better explanation for you, I can give you. But for me, that's my answer to the question. Money is not involved, and Ruby just answered her. She said the same thing. So you just let me know. Um, oh, I
Hmm.
did like your original answer in the situation. Unfortunately, okay. Well, hey, well, I can't tell you about most women.
Mm.
Herbert, I really can't. I don't know. My comments won't. for some reason won't scroll down, so I can't even highlight nothing past. Um, I can't really highlight nothing past 10 o'clock. So it's stuck about half hour back. But hey,
Great.
yeah. I'm not going to close it out to come back in just to get the comments, but um, if anyone wants to just read what Herbert say, you can read it. Um, but yeah, I
Mhm.
do agree that things are different, and we will find out because we have a gentleman on the panel. And
Mhm.
again, I put the link in the chat room. You want to join the conversation and tell us about the date or whatever? Let's get it popping.
Mhm.
All right. So welcome, Chandra, again. And would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, good evening. First of all, I wouldn't really consider myself a gentleman. I'm more of a man. Gentle is kind of one of those modifiers I don't really use for myself. And I'm also a lot more modern in my viewpoint. You know, the old-fashioned viewpoint is the guy pays for everything, right?
Mhm.
My current viewpoint is, okay, if I ask somebody to come out with me, I'm going to be prepared to pay, whatever that means, right? Because me being prepared to pay means that I respect that person's time enough to kind of compensate them for their time. Nobody has any kind of guarantee. Like nobody has any set value on, like we generally as people don't value the time of others, right? And no one has any obligation to share their time with me, right? So if
Mhm.
I say, "Hey Ruby, let's go out and have a bite to eat," right? At that point, the moment I propose that, I immediately say, "Okay, I'm going to make sure that I'm willing to pay for myself and you, just
Mhm.
out of appreciation for the time that you're spending with me."
Mhm. Mhm.
Now, that being said, if someone else asks me to go out, I'm going to still be prepared to pay for myself, right?
Mhm.
But not necessarily the other person.
Mhm. Okay. So, is there a circumstance where you expect the woman to pay for you?
I don't really like being in that situation where I give someone that much control.
Ah. Mm.
See, for me as a man, I should be able to take care of myself no matter which situation I'm in, right?
Mhm.
There was one situation in my life when I was really, really broke, unemployed for a serious period of time, and I met this girl similar to what one of the stories that Char was talking about, where I met this girl in the park. Well,
Mhm.
actually, no, you were giving that story. I met this girl in the park, and I didn't bring any money because I figured we were meeting in the park, right?
Right. Mhm.
And I told her, yeah, I don't have the money. And she's like, well, I'm hungry, so we're going to go eat. I'm like, oh, I don't have any money.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that was in my younger, more derelict days. But
Right. Derelict, broke. You weren't trying to be broke.
Right. That's just
no, but
where
that's
you
that's also
were.
why I didn't suggest to her to go out someplace to eat, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
So.
I've done that once. I had broke up with this guy,
Mm.
and moving on, and I met this guy, and about a week or so later, I met him, like I said, and it was Friday, and got off work. I ain't got nothing to do, so I called him up, whatever, and he made it known that the issue was money. He didn't have any at the time, so I'm like, don't worry about it. I got you.
Mhm.
And that's because I was interested. So I had no problem paying. Had a great old time.
Thank you.
But it's okay. It's nothing wrong with that, and I don't see why people women would frown upon it. But yeah, every
No,
each
because he was
person is
honest.
different.
Right. Like, imagine he had shown up and done that stupid padding thing, right? Versus him just being honest and upfront over it. Man, I'd like to, but I'm just kind of broke right now. Like, I can't. I'm sorry. Right. Like, they're two different situations, and they say a lot about the character of the man doing them, right? So a guy who's willing to say, like, listen, I would, but I can't because I'm dead broke right now. He's, first of all, he's giving you that option and that knowledge. So hey, if you still want to go out with this guy, well, it's going to be on you to fund the night. Okay, great. So then you pick something that's within, your wheelhouse, what you can afford, and whatever, if you want to. But like, it's honorable to do. I do think it's honorable. Like, I don't care if the guy can pay or not. It's about the lie. It's about that. I'm just seeing the stupid pat in my head. I can see it. I can see it, and I know it. It's a scam. Sorry.
He's trying to
Well,
scam you.
the thing about it
Yeah.
is, like you said, most guys know where their wallet is 90% of the time, right? There are very few times where I do the wallet pat and don't know exactly where it is at that moment. And most of
Right.
the time, it's right inside the vehicle I just left. So
Hmm.
Yeah, why
that
do you
being
guys
said,
leave? I'm sorry. Why do you guys leave your car in a wallet? What's with that?
leaving the wallet in the car is actually one of those things where you took the wallet out because you were looking for something earlier and you didn't put it back right away because you were sitting down and you were ready to drive off.
Oh, okay.
Mm.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember I asked my uncle that question once, and it's just because he said it's uncomfortable to sit on his wallet, which is in his back pocket. That's where he prefers to have it. It's in his back pocket, because they're deeper. So they're less likely to fall out from the back pocket, but also people are going to have a much harder time trying to get it out of the back pocket if they wanted to do a quick snatch, right? So his thing was, now sitting on it's really uncomfortable, especially if you're commuting. So he just got into the habit of taking it out and putting it, like, where the coffee cup holder is or whatever. And then it also makes it easy if you want to stop somewhere to pay for coffee or do whatever, versus having to sit there and do that thing where it's like you try to stand up, but like, to get your butt off the seat to try to get something out of your back pocket in the car in the drive through. So, I mean, it's understandable. I get it.
But
Okay.
I actually think that people should just begin to respect each other's times because, people seem to forget that in a date, what you're doing, the money isn't really the main object. The meal isn't the main object. The main object is to spend time with the other person and to learn about the other person. Now, if you are so broke that you can't afford the date, go ahead and let the other person know that you can't afford it, and you will get back to them preferably after next payday, right?
Hmm.
That's the
Hmm.
respectable thing to do. Or, put it on a credit card and hope that you can pay it back off. I mean, like you mentioned, Ruby, there in today's world there are infinite ways to get money.
Exactly. The same.
Most of your credit cards can easily become part of your Samsung Pay or Apple Pay on your phone, and you don't even
Yep.
have to carry your wallet.
Your debit card too. Just just saying, most people have Visa debit cards. So your debit card will double as a Visa on your phone and stuff as well. Like it's too easy. It's too easy to pay people, both directly and from person to person. You can PayPal people, you can Cash App people, you can come on. It is too easy to give people money these days for you to try to act like, well, without that tangible physical wallet in your hands, it's impossible. I got no money for the night. But that's the only reason, I swear. Hmm.
And another thing that isn't mentioned very often is so a lot of people go into dates with expectations, right?
Hmm.
Hmm.
So if the man is expected to pay, sometimes the man goes ahead and he enters the date with his expectation. Okay, I pay. We have a good date. She's putting out.
Yes, I have heard that a lot.
Yeah, so you see, there shouldn't really be that expectation there. I think I ask somebody out, I'm gonna go ahead and be willing to pay for them because I asked them to come spend time with me, right? And
Hmm.
after that, whatever happens, happens. But I'm not gonna be the guy that goes, "Oh well, I paid for this lobster and steak dinner, so you know, things are going down." No, that doesn't make
Yeah.
sense to me. But then again, I might be what the manosphere considers a simp. So
Well, my
True.
question would be if that was the case, why was that not negotiated in the beginning? Why is it
Hmm.
just an expectation and not, okay, I'm gonna take you out, take you over to whatever ABC restaurant, and they have a great lobster there. Oh, okay, thank you. That's cool. I'll go. But after the date, we going to a hotel or we're going back to my place. then that way she can like, oh, well, no, I'm not interested in that. And then that
Right.
way he keeps his money in his pocket and everybody good, right?
Mhm.
So
Will that work or no?
so the issue there is that you're dealing with too mature people if you're dealing with that. A lot of immature people like to be sly about things, right? And
Mhm.
what I mean by
Oh,
sly is, okay, I'm going to go ahead and have this expectation, right? Not exactly tell you what the expectation is, but now that I've paid for your dinner, right? This is the sly and or the derelict or whatever you want to call him, right? The sneaky type of guy is what Cerulean's called him recently, right? Where he's
Mhm.
going to go, oh well, now that I've paid for your dinner, you kind of owe me.
Well, can,
um, why can't? Well, yeah, you said that's the mature one. Okay, I just think it would be cool if you just be honest and let me know. Let's negotiate this because no one's mind readers. If
right.
that's
Well,
the
see,
situation, no.
that is the mature thing to do. Talk about this as adults. Hey, we go out, have dinner, and if we have a nice enough time, there's a hotel room across the way.
Well, I
See,
think in
I
all
guess.
honesty, it's just you just thinking that you're going to be turned down. That's what I think.
Well,
But
Well,
that's just me.
that's also a thing too, because people are
yeah.
afraid of rejection.
Well, and I think, well, here's what it comes down to, and I'm not sure why people are confused by this concept, but whether you're in the dating game to find a casual sex partner, friends with benefits, a lifelong commitment, whatever it is, don't you want to find someone who's on the same page as you? Like, okay, you might get turned down by, 25 women by being honest about your intentions. Hey, I'm willing to take you out to real nice places from day one, but I expect, this type of sex afterwards, minimum. You're going to find there are women who are like, oh, for real? Okay, cool. And they're down with that, right? Like, not every woman's going to be down with that. But why are you wasting time, energy, and I guess for you, if that's the way you think, resources on not a sure thing? And I mean, sure, a woman can agree to it and back out later or whatever, right? But my point is, if you want to find someone who's at least of the same mind, where they think the same way that you do. Like, yeah, that's right. A lobster dinner is sex worthy versus a woman who says, I don't care where you take me. I'm not having sex with you on the first date. Why? Why are you talking to her? You guys don't have the same mindset.
And see
Hmm.
that's a statement of maturity there, as opposed to, see, people are looking to see the most they can get for the least amount of effort, right? And this
Oh,
occurs in the dating market as well. So least amount of effort for one guy. So one guy is like, okay, well, I'll talk to this chick, and we'll have a couple of dates, and on the third date, if we don't kiss, it's not going anywhere, right? One guy might say, okay, I'll take her out for the lobster dinner first thing, and we're hitting home base after this, right?
Hmm.
And these are strange expectations that these guys have in their head because they want to get the most out of the girl for the least amount of effort, right?
Hmm. See?
However,
Hmm. Hmm.
it doesn't really make sense to go into things from a dishonest point of view, because even if you manage to get the girl who's uncomfortable but now she feels like she's obligated to you because you paid for the nice steak and lobster dinner with the wine, she feels obligated. Well, that's pity sex, obligation sex. It doesn't mean she actually likes you.
Right. At all.
It,
And I
do
mean,
you think he cares though?
well, see,
well,
what's interesting though is these are the same guys who complain when the girl doesn't put out after the steak and lobster dinner. Well, I paid for this $100 dinner for her and she didn't put out.
but then
Hmm.
it's just like the thing is, if the reason why you're taking a woman out on an extravagant date and spending all that money and time and energy and effort is, to get some, I can't help but think to myself, it might be cheaper for you to just pay for the sex itself up front, right?
But that's
No muss,
illegal.
no fuss. Well, come on. Let's be realistic about our world. You know what I mean? I guess it's like it comes down to, again, like, don't you want a girl who at the very least wants to hook up with you? If
Well,
you
listen,
do, then you know.
But listen to the complaints you get from guys. Oh, well, I took her out for dinner and, she expected me to pay the entire bill and she didn't even want to hang out after. Or, oh, I went out with this girl and, she didn't even kiss me on the first date, even though I took her out here. Listen to the complaints of these guys, right? So,
You know
th-
what I
th-
think though? I think
okay.
that okay, this is it. I can imagine how some of these conversations went. So what they did was they batted for some chick who was never into them to begin with, right? And she was like, "Get out of here." No, no, for real. I want to bring you on Friday. No, no. You. I know you really like that restaurant, so and so, right? And yo, I will buy you the most expensive thing on the menu. You just come out on a date with me. All right, fine, whatever. Right? So you're already getting someone who's not that interested in you anyway, and you baited them into this thing. Like, if I could just spend time with you, I will bring you to the most expensive restaurant and buy you the most expensive thing on the menu. Just please come and spend a couple hours. Right? That's how you sold it. So that's why she came. All right, fine. If that's all you want to be seen with someone like me, all right, cool, let's go do it. And then you're disappointed that afterwards that didn't lead to, her sleeping with you. Well, yeah, maybe you should have started with someone who even looked like they were remotely interested in you on any level. I'm just saying.
I agree. However, with this guy who went out with the express intent of not paying for anything with this chick, right? Even though he asked her out, because that
Mhm.
was his express intent here. I've
Mhm.
actually heard it said in certain what you would call red pill circles that some women like to use guys for dates, right? They like getting dressed up and going out and having someone pay for their entire meal, right?
Right.
So I think what he did was actually a role reversal of sorts, where he in
Mm.
turn used this girl for the date and was
Ah,
hoping it would go someplace else afterwards.
with
Oh. Hmm.
no. See, that was silly though, because if you want a woman to fall into bed with you, right, she needs to be in her feminine. If she feels like she has to take on a masculine or leadership role, which for her is going to feel like you put her in the role, she has to pay for you and her. The last thing she's going to want or look at you as is like a sexual partner. She's not going to see you as a man, right? She's going to see you as something she has to provide for, right? And who do women provide for? Kids. So, if that was what your goal is, right? I mean, sure, you wanted the free date, cool, but there's no way you could think that you wanted the free date and you wanted to get some simultaneously. Like, that's literally would never happen.
Mm. I'm gonna say something about what Herbert wrote in the chat room. He wanted to know what women wouldn't they be offended by that if you like, I want some coochie. Well, and I told him some would be. So I'm gonna give you two scenarios, Herbert. Um, hey Shar, you like to go out? I'm gonna spend $50 on you, but I want you to put out now. What? I'm offended. The answer is no. Or, hey Shar, I want to take you out. I'm gonna spend $50 on you. I expect you to put out. Oh, I'm not offended by it, but the answer is no. So there you go. Some would be offended, some wouldn't, but the answer is still no. But you don't know that unless you ask. There you go.
And Char, to add to what you're saying, I believe approach and confidence is like 99% of that selling point there,
Mm-hmm.
because you walk up to a girl and go, yeah, I'm gonna spend $50 on you and I expect you to put out. Well, that approach actually is going to be less likely to get you results.
Well, yeah, and I
Meanwhile,
don't. Oh, I'm sorry.
meanwhile,
Go
you hit them with the, oh, we should go out and have a nice romantic dinner, and if it leads to it, we should go ahead and get a hotel room for the night. That approach will get you a little bit further than I expect you to put out.
Well, I'm not sure if Herbert really say it that way, but I just,
Yeah,
just got to the chase and just said, hey, this is what I'm gonna spend. This is what I expect.
Yeah.
So
But you know what
if
though? Even to the guys that I know who end up getting this type of stuff, right? They paint the picture. So they paint the picture of the night. right? At the dinner, blah, blah, blah. And then afterwards, the hotel room or their apartment, they're going to have some champagne, a nice bubble bath. He'll massage your feet for you. And then, you know what I mean? They paint a picture. So she's all sitting there all tee-hee and all giggling about it. And it doesn't even occur to her in her mind, like, oh, that's kind of fast or whatever, right? So if she's already a little bit interested, and then you paint this picture of, wine, dine, and then a little bit of romance, then it's like, all right, yeah. But if you just come off like, well, it's a transaction, then you're basically saying, hey, so I pretty much think you're a prostitute. So, and I think that sex with you is worth $50. So, $50, the exchange is I pay you $50 and you put out for that. That's not a very complimentary statement. You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
And I would turn around and ask Herbert, if you get a no, would you be offended after you spend the money on the date? How would would you be offended by that? Just curious. You don't have to answer it because that is personal, and I do want an honest answer. I don't know. Want you to shuck and jive. I don't like that. So
mhm.
answer if you like. Continue.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the question though too, is if you would be offended, is that all you're looking for? Is, a sex friend, right? Because there's only so much you can learn about someone in a few hours. So are you really looking for compatibility? You looking for a relationship? You looking for something that might be able to go somewhere? You probably, if your answer is yes, if your answer is yes, you're looking for a good woman, compatibility, might go somewhere, blah, 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 then sex probably shouldn't be so high up in your priority list. And if anything, any woman who's willing to put out that quickly based on, ooh, $50 meal, that's so ooh la la, is probably not, wife material. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, women, I'm sorry if that offends you, but you're probably not in a wife state of mind if you're like, oh, well, anyone who's willing to spend $50 on a plate of food, I'll spread my legs for them. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not a
For a
wifey state of
meal.
mind for a meal, right? Like, that's stuff we used to make fun of on like Maury, when a chick would be like, "Yeah, I gave him head because he bought me a Whopper," and you're like, "What? Like, hold on, you did what?"
Was cheese on that Whopper at least? I just want to
Right?
know.
And an extra large fry. That's right. That's right. And they're going all wild. You're like, oh, what gutter trash is this? Right? So I mean, you have to look at the different states, and it's like, if you're out there and what you're trying to find is a good woman, well, the good women you're trying to find probably are not putting out on the first date with anybody, even the people they really like and they feel a sexual connection towards, because they, if that's not, that's like, I don't know, I just feel like it's so basic, it's so hard to find words for things I feel are basic.
Okay, I'm going to turn back to the video and say that um, the young lady said that she paid for the date. Um, Comments on that? Well, let me answer first. Like I said, I because I would not have believed him with the pat down, and just in case, because I don't know, I would go ahead and challenge him to get his wallet. Um, and then if he come up with another excuse, then I'm like, no. If he came back, now that's something different. If he came back, came to that, I would have went in the lobby. He paid for that movie. We'd have missed most of it. Well, he's missed most of it. I would really be kind of excited, and I would leave. I was like, "Hey, let's go somewhere else,"
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
I actually would leave that because he came back. I'm like, okay, maybe he did leave his wallet. Maybe he was gonna try to pull a fast one on me. He got some money now. Hey, let's go do
Hmm.
something else, and I would do that with him. Give him a little excitement, you know.
Yeah. Hey, why not?
All right, and you guys, as far as her paying for the date in that scenario, what do you think?
She got tricked, but she owned it.
Okay.
Mm.
She knew that the guy was trying to trick her, but rather than deal with like rather than blow up on him, she actually did the slightly more mature thing and said, "No, I'm not going to have an emotional outburst. I'm going to go ahead and shake his hand, tell him goodbye, and never talk to that dude again." I mean, that's fair considering that he invited her out and he didn't uphold his end of the bargain.
Well, actually, she paid for the date. They went in and she said that he felt on her leg or tried to. She
Mhm.
moved away. And then after the movie, she shook his hand and left.
Yeah, so she actually had a lot of self control in that scenario where she didn't elbow the dude in the face.
That's a good
Yeah,
one.
yeah. I gotta agree. Come on, you have the nerve, like, especially because again, this day and age. So from her story, if he had, like, if he had either a offered to pay her back, or obviously had ever paid her back, then that would have been part of her story. So clearly, there was no offer to pay her back, or at least pay for his half, or to give her a date to compensate, or anything. Right? This was just like, oh, I forgot my wallet, so it's on you, right? All right, cool. Like, wait, what? No, that's mm-mm. And I just want to add just another little thing, because I honestly think if a guy really liked you, like if he really really liked you, he really thought you were something. He really wanted to see where things with you would go in a good way. I don't think he would pull that. You know what I mean? That I think he decided he wasn't really interested, and you know what I mean. He was gonna try to maybe use you, or take advantage of the situation somehow. And well, I'll get her to pay for the movie, and then she has really low self esteem just to let me feel her up in the dark, right? Like, I mean, that's what it seems like to me, because
Hmm.
who else would you expect to be cool with you still after that? I don't know.
Yeah. Um, but paying for it after he pulled that, stunt, like I said, that's how I would have handled it. So, but I don't know if that was in my mind. They pulled a fast one on me. I wouldn't have paid for him. We can
No.
do it again. See, and that's kind of my style anyway. I'll tell you, with no problem. If I do a stream, we have a particular topic. We don't get the feedback. People don't come in and join the conversation. I'll end the stream because I always believe in you can always revisit it. That
Right.
one time is not the only time.
Mhm.
So that's why I'm saying, hey, we can always do this again. You ain't got
Mhm.
your wallet. Oh, what, baby? You ain't got your wallet? Oh my God. Oh, you know what? I tell you what, it's about to rain anyway. So
Mm.
what we gonna do? We gonna reschedule this, okay? What next week is good? Okay, all right.
Mhm.
Hey,
Right.
the poetics came in the building at the same time. How cool is that?
Oh, cool.
But yeah, that's what I would have done. I would not have paid him for him if that's what I really thought dude was doing. I
Mhm.
would not have paid for him. But like I said, that was my way of offering him a second chance for him to go get
Right.
his money. He did that, showed up, manned up, as they say. Oh, shoot, this dude, okay. I like that. Let's
Mhm.
go kick it somewhere else.
Right.
Take it up a notch.
Mhm.
and,
Exactly.
and sadly, she let this dude keep face. Like she let the dude keep face. She handled things responsibly, a little bit, more responsibly than I probably, would have in her situation, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Like, I'm trying to think. I don't know. I guess it's never happened to me before, so I'm trying to think, like, especially, and I gotta be honest, right? I mean, the Ruby of today, very different than Ruby back in her early 20s when she was at the dating scene. So I'm trying to think of how that Ruby would have handled things, and I don't think it would have been with that much grace or class. I think it would have been like one of those, like, deer in headlights plastic, are you serious, kind of smiles on. And then it would have been like, okay, hold on one moment, ma'am, the cash register person. And I would have been like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna have to reschedule then, right? I don't even think I would have given him the chance to go and try to get the money or whatever, especially in this day and age, like I said, just based on the way he went about everything. Because I would have been really kind of like annoyed and insulted, and I think I just would have been like, yeah, let's just take a rain check on today then, and yeah, we can always see it next week. It'll be fine. And then that would have been the end. Like, even if you tried to call me, it would have been the end. There would not have been a second opportunity, I don't think. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
I was thinking, I keep thinking about something Shadra said, you know, and so you use the word control. And you said, I wouldn't want to give anybody else that much control. And it was like, because I mean, even if you had the money, right? Just because someone pays for you does not mean that you don't have the money to pay for yourself. It just means they're going to cover the bill. So, why is it a matter of control that you pay for yourself at least?
Well, it's about coming into the situation with the expectation that nobody else is going to take care of me. And,
Mm,
this may go back to the stuff we discussed last week.
mm-hmm,
Okay.
Also, there's the ideal that there's a book called Influence, The Psychology of Persuasion, in which he talks about there was an experiment done in which one person bought the other person Coca-Cola, right? And
mm-hmm,
during the experiment, one person bought the other person a Coca-Cola, well, bought one for themselves and brought one back for the other person. And in the control, they didn't do that thing, right? But in the experiment, they then tried to sell raffle tickets after this, right? They're at this thing and they're like, oh yeah, I got some raffle tickets that I'm selling for this event. And I believe that the raffle ticket sales were like 4 times the amount for the person who gave them the 75 cents can of cola
mm-hmm.
compared to those who didn't. Because
Mm,
even though we don't like to think that we become indebted, we do have an emotional sense of obligation to those who do things in kindness to us, the majority of us.
Okay. Hmm.
So I like to believe that when I'm dealing with other people, I like to have a completely clear head. I'm making the proper assessments, especially in dealing with a woman. So, just because she buys my meal, I may be overlooking something, like the crazy tick or, the fact that she keeps the machete in the back of the seat, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
well, I have an excellent question here from Herbert, and he's may from me have to answer a little bit more or questions because I'm not sure if this is the equivalent, but this is what he says the equivalent. So he
Mm-hmm.
says this is the equivalent of a woman coming over to a man's house and he's expected to have sex, and she says it's that time of the month. What would be said then of he told her to bounce? Now, the question I would have, she's going over his house. Was she invited? She just came by. See, there's some things missing there, so I'm not for certain. I can't say this is equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so may have to explain this a little bit more to me. I know it's kind of difficult when it's in writing, but I'm not able to kind of pick up what you're saying. Maybe the other guys can, and if so, you guys chime in.
Yeah. Because what I'm wondering, like, is it a matter, did she invite herself over or did you invite her over? And why is he expecting to have sex? Did she say, I'm coming over to have sex with you? Did he say, I'm inviting you over to have sex with me? And she said, okay, cool. Like, I mean, see, that's the thing, right? Just because you're expecting something in your head doesn't mean that your expectation is reasonable. Just because a woman comes over to your house doesn't mean that she's obligated to have sex with you. or that would logically follow for every woman.
Okay,
So,
so he says that she was invited.
okay, so you invited her to your house. Did you tell her, I'm inviting you over to have sex with me? And she said, all right, cool, I'm coming. And then got there and went, my period just started. Right?
Right,
Because I
because
mean,
is that, because if you guys are regular people, you may know around that time. She may just tell you because she know you guys been in a relationship for a while and that's what you do when you come over. So there's some things that's up in the air
mhm,
there. So I don't know if you'd be able to type it because to me it is an equivalent.
no. I don't think it's equivalent. I kind of see what you're saying. Your whole point is if she's going to turn around and be like, well, you're not paying for the date, so I'm done with you, then deuces. Then is it okay for him to be like, well, if you're not having sex with me, all right, then bounce. You know what? And actually, I've said this to someone, I can't remember who it was, and I was on a panel with them, and they said that that's how they are. They do not chill around women that they are not currently having sex with, and they're not the one who is going to be with a woman who wants to wait forever. So if she's the kind who wants to wait, she comes over and she makes excuses or blah blah blah, then he says, all right, cool, he's not mean about it, but just like, all right, well, do you have a good day, because he knows what he's about. And actually, no, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with you having your own standards for how it is that you want to live your life and you spelling those out clearly, right? And so not in a mean way, not to be evil and whatever, but if you're like, hey, listen, that's not what I do. I don't hang out with women. I'm not trying to date you and get to know you. I'm trying to have sex with women. So if, hey, you're not going to have sex with me, you should probably come back when you're ready to do that. I'm okay with you spelling that out and being clear about it. Honestly, that's just me.
Shadra, would you like to add to that being a guy, only guy on the panel?
I'm kind of
Is
on the
that
spot here,
equivalent
but
to you? Is that
I
equivalent to
don't
you?
I don't find equivalence there because once again, the guy asked her out, right? If the girl says, "Yeah, I want to come over and have sex," then she sets the expectation there. If she says, "I want to come over and hang out," that's a completely different thing, right? If the guy invites her over, right, and there is no talk about this beforehand, it's there's no mature conversation going on beforehand, and she shows up and she says, "I'm on my period," right? Well,
Hmm.
just because she's on her period doesn't mean there aren't things that can't be done. First of all, second of all, if the guy does tell her, "Yo, you're on your period. I was expecting sex," dip. I don't see that actually as a necessarily a negative because he's being completely, totally honest. But she may
Hmm.
want to reconsider that relationship at that point because he's
Exactly.
only in it for one thing.
Exactly. And that's why I said I'm okay with you spelling it out clearly. Because if that's what you're about, I'm not like that. So therefore, okay, well, I guess, it was nice meeting you. And that will be the end because you're about, the casual section counter. I'm about trying to find a life mate. All right, well, apparently we're not on the same page. So you do you, I'll do me. Have a great life. Right. I think that honesty, we overlook honesty like it's not important, or we frown on people's honesty when we don't like it. I'm okay with honesty I don't like or I don't agree with, as long as you're actually being honest and you're not trying to use it in some manipulative way to try to, coerce someone into doing something or trying to make someone feel bad about themselves. It's just the honest truth. I'm okay with that.
Okay. And
Alrighty.
greetings and welcome to the chat, the conversation. DeAndre and Poetic Art, welcome.
Thank you,
Hey,
thank you.
Good
Welcome.
evening, gentlemen.
going
Good to see you.
on?
Welcome.
Blessings.
So this is
Blessing,
simple.
blessing.
This is simple. Ruby already know what I'm gonna say.
Okay, well, go ahead. You go first, and then
This
Poetic
would
Art. He can weigh in.
this would clear
Absolutely.
up a lot of stuff, right? We think we need to bring the articles of prostitution on to the table. Um, because if you let me put it like this, right? Every man has this thing in their head where the date or the meeting of a person that they're in a relationship with should get to a physical level, right? And it doesn't matter how much you pay, right? There's a time frame, right? Everybody wants genuine exchange when it comes to that, right? If I'm paying and I'm paying and I'm paying, right? And you're giving it up and you already know that you have to give it up because I took you to this restaurant without me saying this, then in my mind, I'm going to compartmentalize that you're about the money, right? Now, if it naturally happens, like say we just go out for coffee or we go out, just like it was the date was good, or whatever, and we go where we're going and we're having a good time. If I am inviting you back to my place, that's pressure, right? Like if you invite me back to your place, there's no pressure, right? Because you still, it's better to give than to take, if that's the best thing, because it it feels like you made an achievement. So if you take a woman out and she says, "Hey, let's you want to go back to my place?" Oh, sure, no problem, right? And you go back, and you're sitting there, you're talking and whatever. There's a certain time frame where as a guy that this is not going anywhere at all. This is not going anywhere, and you excuse yourself, right? You know what I mean? You say, "Hey, we're having a good time." Now, if you're just enamored in the conversation, that's fine, right? But the second or the third time, then you remove yourself. You say, "Hey, well, let me get out of here. I gotta go, and I'm going to leave." Right? And if she says, "Okay, let me walk you to the door," right then and there is that there's nothing physical there. You're more as in a friend type of thing, and then you need to press the issue or ask certain questions, like Shadra was saying. And if these questions are not met or they're kind of pushed to the side, then she's not ready, then you're going to compartmentalize that and you're going to move on. I have this easy thing for men all the time, so you don't get yourself in trouble. Okay. The unofficial date is the coffee, talking, walking, having conversation. The official date is usually you invite her out. After the coffee, you kind of get to know where she would like to go. So you do the invitation, if the coffee or just the walking or just to meet up for like a brunch or something that doesn't cost a lot of money, right? No big monetary investment. Then you take it on steps, right? You don't wow her out the head with the biggest thing, right? You got to be cognizant of your money, right? So you got to step it up to a certain degree if these things are met between the two of you, right? Then you move on, and then you have these conversations. You start asking about past relationships. What's the longest relationship she had? How long she's not been dating? If she says that she's been out of a relationship for so many months or whatever, and you look at her personality, you don't assume anything, but you just jot these things down. If you invite her back to your house, you say, "Hey, well, why don't you just come over for like a movie or something like that? We can chill out. Maybe you can order some food, and y'all can just do it on a night where it's like nothing's going on, right?" She comes over, you sit there, you watch the movie, she's there, she sees how you live, she understands your situation, then she'll be more comfortable. Now, if 10 o'clock comes around, 9:30, right, comes around, you ask her certain questions. "Hey, well, let me get you home, or would you like to stay longer, or this, that, and the other?" Say, "You know what? I didn't know it was so late. Let me get home." You're giving her an out to leave, right? Like my grandparents used to say, nothing good happened after 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock give them 10 o'clock, you get them in, you get them out, right? Now, the third time she comes over, now we got to be straight up. Listen, sorry, I'm a man, you're a woman. You standing here after 10 o'clock, I can be in here by myself. I don't need no help, right? You know what I'm saying? We got body pillows for that. Right? I'm not going to rush you or pressure you, but I think it's best that it's time for you to let me take you home, right? And I don't want this to get awkward. I don't want you to I'm expecting a lot, and you're expecting nothing. So let us move on. Now the whole thing with the whole I'm on my period, you done passed that point of because you already done had that interaction. I remember when my wife was dating and she said to me, "Hey, I'm coming. Hey, I want to come over. We ain't seen each other in a while, but I'm on my period." And I said, "Well, did you go to the dentist?" She said, "No." Well, there we go.
And that's what I was saying. If you get past that point, I didn't use it, phrase it that way, but that's what I'm saying. Once get to a certain part, you're gonna know, you're gonna say something, the guy gonna ask, something gonna happen. But I also want to play the sound bite of some of the things that the men are saying as you got to, I think step two. But that is good advice. I'm
Hmm.
just saying.
You
Poetic
know what?
art. Oh, I'm
You know
sorry.
what? I just want to say and see this is why it's important though to clarify that not all men are the same and not all women are the same, right? So you got to recognize that, different mentalities are going to respond differently to different things. And just because, for DeAndre, and first of all, DeAndre has a certain kind of personality though too. So you have to remember, if you don't have DeAndre's personality, certain phrasing is not going to work for you. I would just say that off the bat, right? He has this kind of like fun-loving, boisterous personality. So if he says certain things, like the way he says them, you could like kind of laugh, and it kind of crushes the awkwardness and whatever. If you don't have that personality, you're a little bit more boring, a little bit more, direct with the way you speak. You might want to find a way of maybe not being quite so direct because it might come off, you know, not the way you were intending it to. Just saying. Like, read your
True.
personality, read her personality, read the room for real. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, again, welcome, Poetic Art. I know how time moves. We only have about 45 minutes left or so. And if you like to join the conversation, do so.
What
I don't know
exactly
what.
am I responding to?
Okay, it's up to you. I gave you the overall.
Okay, I see that.
Woman went to the.
Well,
Okay, so you
other-
want to join into that? Go ahead.
yeah. Under those circumstances, that looks like an accident or whatever the case may be. Well, however, just shake your hand and say good night. It's all good to me because for myself, I do not anticipate no type of outcome. I let nature run its course, one way or the other. Because when you do that, disappointment will set in. You will be disappointed on a several layers. So one of my martial arts instructors used to tell me that all the time. Rely on your skill set to get it done. Don't anticipate outcome. Let nature run its course. However, don't try to dictate it either. When it,
Okay, and then
when
let
it
me ask.
Go for it. Yeah.
Oh, let me ask you this. She went on the date.
Yes.
Um, he pat his wallet, pat himself, say he didn't have any money. She paid.
Okay.
She was reluctant to pay. He tried to
Obviously,
cop a feel. She didn't like that,
well, that's
and
a
then she didn't
violation.
want to see him anymore.
That's a
So
violation.
we were going. We were kind of breaking it down as far as, you know, is a good thing she paid? Was he trying to play a game? How would you work that out? And that's where we were kind of breaking down. But I
All of the
agree with
above.
you. I,
Actually, it's all of the above.
hmm
Because at this stage of the game, you have to be unapologetic about everything. There is no emotional attachment, mental, spiritual, or whatever the case may be. It's just a date. You
yeah.
know, neither one is beholden to the other. So I'm like, you go east, I go west. Have a nice day, kick rocks, or whatever the terminology you want to utilize.
Okay.
No, nobody owes nobody jack squat from my vantage point.
All right.
That's
Okay.
just me. That's just
All
me.
all
But
right.
I've never had those problems either.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so because in my mind, I'm going to whether they're capable or not. I'm gonna foot the bill regardless. That's just how it gets down.
But if she doesn't put out, you spent $75. Would you be
I
disappointed? Would you
disappointed.
complain?
I enjoyed
Call
my
her
evening.
back?
I'm just going to enjoy my evening. One is not exclusive of the other, and one does not constitute the other, because you have to realize a lot of this is coming from a low vibrations, a low way of thinking, a gutter approach to begin with. You have to have the best outlook, optimistic, try to have a good time, not to just fulfill your own personal requirements at the expense of someone else. If that's a mutual suggestion, so be it. But nah, I'm not for that. That's just that's poor upbringing from. Okay, let me retract that. You did not have the best uh, man as a role model to show you how you should approach these things, how you should behave, how you should conduct yourself, and how to be disciplined. More than anything else, you got to be disciplined. You have to be able to shun anything. Like, you know what, it's cool. I'm good with it. I'm good without it because I'm comfortable with who I am.
Okay. All right. Back around to Chandra. Cause we kind of jump back and forth, so I want to make sure you get in because it's easy to forget what you're gonna say.
Well, please rephrase the question or the.
Okay, you didn't have anything on your mind. I was just
No,
coming
right?
back around to you because I think because I interrupted because we had something. Oh, we started another question, but um, the expectation of if she comes over. I don't know if you got a chance to
I think I did
finish
respond to
that.
that.
You got a chance to finish? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, once again, it's two adults. You guys gotta talk. You guys have to communicate. You know, some of the
Communicate. What?
some of the best encounters between two people occur when the people communicate and say, "Oh, this feels good for me. This feels good for me." And then they're actually able to get into their own kind of sync. If people aren't willing to communicate, and you have an expectation, like Art said, there's bound to be disappointment. Because see, everybody has this idea of how this perfect date is supposed to go, how the night's supposed to go, right? But until two people communicate and say, "Hey, well, this is how I would like the night to end," and those two people get their versions of the night together and then make it happen, you might be going one way and she might be going another. She might just be wanting to watch the movie and go home.
Facts.
Yeah.
You may have planned for an 8-hour session that will fog up every single mirror in a 1 mile radius, right?
Oh.
But
All
she
right.
might have to work in the morning until you guys discuss those expectations.
I like
You're
to be
going
pleasantly
nowhere.
surprised.
Yeah, that's. I'm like what Charger saying is absolutely true. Like what, and this is what I tell. This is what I learned from people that were older than me but dumber than God. Um, is what they would tell me is especially older men. I get and and they would tell me, they would say, look, if you go into anything with high expectations, you're going to leave disappointed. So if you go into any scenario and you're just there to have fun and enjoy yourself, right? You'll actually um, notice something that is great, right? And what I did was a lot of times where I would actually, what I would say hit on all cylinders, batting for the cycle, is meet a girl, we go out, we have a good time, no pressure, whatever. We just enjoy the conversation, and I would drive up to the drive her back at a hour, because I would ask her, hey, what time do you need to be home, or would you like to be home? What time would like to be home? And you would say a certain time. And I was like, okay. And what I would do, because I would have the military mindset, if you're on time, you're late. And if you're early, you're on time. So I would at least get her home like 30 to 45 minutes prior, right? And when I mean home, like, just I could drive up to her door like 30 to 15 minutes prior, and we could just sit in the car and talk a little bit. But she's comfortable because she's back in her environment. Or I would just walk up to her door and say, "Well, hey, I had a good evening, you know, this, that, and the third." And then she would say, "Well, you know what? How about come on in? Like, would you like to come in? Would you like to this? Would you like to do this? Would you like to, you know, just have some coffee? We can talk for a little bit, or so have you." Now, what I would do if I really liked her, but I'm baiting the hook, right? Is I would say, you know what? No, I have to go to work the next day. I got to get up. I ain't got nothing to do tomorrow. I ain't doing jack. Tomorrow could be Sunday, right? But I'm going to give her an excuse as there's an offer. I could take the offer like right then and there, and I would, you know, but I'm going to take it on into the house. And then I said, well, and you know, and I said, well, do you mind if I call you when I get home? Or she'll say, hey, call me when you get home to make sure you're safe, right? And you know, and I would go and so forth. Now, if this has been going on for about 2 or 3 days, oh yeah, I'm coming in. Yeah, I'm coming in, but I have no expectations. I'm gonna sit on the couch and we gonna talk and whatever, and then I'll let her make the move. And once she get in her comfortable clothes, you know, she goes and take the stuff off, put her PJs on or whatever. We know it's on and cracking. We about to be cracking in here. But if she's still in her date clothes and she ain't kick off the shoes and she ain't get comfortable by taking off the earrings and she still got the best thing she had walking, ain't nothing really happening. And you need to see yourself out the door. You know,
I really appreciate that you're telling this to people
yeah.
because this is actually true. And it's no joke about that. I'm not pulling out no earrings, ain't taking no shoes off. I'm gonna sit there fully clothed. Ain't nothing going on.
No,
And the fact that you're saying this, a lot of people, I'm not surprised. I'm sure they don't know,
oh
and
yeah.
they're surprised and they're expecting. They like, I don't understand this, but you're explaining that you're letting that woman be comfortable in her environment. Let her get comfortable. Once she get comfortable, she'll signal whether she get closer to you, hold your hand, um, tell you she ain't got to go right now. She's gonna tell you something. She's gonna
Something.
indicate something. She got to be comfortable. Otherwise, it's gonna be, it ain't gonna go too well for you. But
No,
thanks for sharing that because I'm hearing it. And I know that's true.
You know, but if I can, I want to add how Classic Ruby, always being the oddball of the company, differs slightly. No, serious. Because here's my thing, right? I don't like the kind of clothes you have to wear on a date, you know, to make yourself look presentable. To me, like that's like a nightmare, right? So the second I walk through my door, I'm changing. I don't. So if I invited you in, then you're waiting while I change. That means nothing for you. Just so we're all clear, right? But see, again, timing is everything, right? And the personality is everything. This is why I was saying earlier. I'm like, you do have to read the person and whatever, but I'm also very open, honest communicator, and communication is really important. And see, a lot of times we leave this all up to like you have to read everyone's mind to figure out what they're thinking and what they're doing and what why aren't we talking to each other? Like it's not that hard to just state what you need or what you want. I remember I've met some really great guys, you know what I mean, and honestly we were like it looked like we were almost perfectly paired for each other, but as far as what they wanted and needed in the next say 30 days versus where what I wanted and needed in the next 30 days was very different, right? So we weren't going to be able to mesh on that level, right? So for them, right, and I've always said this, right, and I've let everyone know, for me, sex is not part of the getting to know you process. It is just not. Until we are already in a committed, monogamous relationship, I'm not having sex with you. And then once we've decided to be in the committed monogamous relationship, then we're going to a trip to an STD clinic. Then after we get our all clear results, then we can start talking about when we're going to have sex. That's the way I roll, right? Now, not everyone's like that, but I also let you know that off the bat. Right? So, I mean, someone who's not like that, and sex is part of the getting to know you process, and it's so important that for them, they can't really get to that place where they want to be monogamous and committed without it. Well, me and that person, we were never going to be able to vibe, right? People have heard the stories of me and my husband, how we dated for 6 months before we had sex. And they were like, oh, there's no way. 6 months, I would never do that. Blah, 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 blah. Right? And that's fair enough. For you, that might not have worked, right? For you, that might not be what you were looking for. And I totally get that. But again, it's all about understanding and communicating, right? Because I communicate. Like, I didn't waste people's time. If I only saw you as a friend, you knew because I told you. If I was attracted to you, you'd know I'm attracted to you. I'm attracted to you. Oh yeah, I could definitely see this happening, but it's still not happening right now. So you get a little hands, you be like, come on, come on, come on. You already know how it is. You know what I mean? But you can feel that sexual tension there and everything. And actually, if I really invite you into my space to begin with, that is to me a symbol that I'm into you, right? Because I'm not just inviting first of all, I have friends who still don't know where I live, and I've known them for 15 years. Okay. I am very protective of my address. So I'm not gonna just let anyone know where I live, let alone to come inside of my house, let alone to be up in there when with me alone, but that's me as a person. And that's where I keep saying, like, yo, we have to get to know each other and communicate a little bit more about, things other than all the surface bullshit, because those differences make a difference. Yes, I understand I'm an oddball, but I'm not the only one who's like me. If you
You're
meet
not an
another one who's like
oddball.
me,
You're
what?
not an oddball. You're not an oddball. You can't be putting that title across your head just because you're outside of the norm.
Aw, thank you. I appreciate that. You still called me outside of the norm. So it's okay though. But
I'm outside of the norm, but the
oh
norm,
yeah.
who's to say the norm is not deficient?
Mm. Hmm. That's a fair point. And then you come down to the question, and see, this is a question because I'm gonna assume, right? Because DeAndre, I don't see you as being a hypocritical type of guy, right?
No.
And so with that being said, then you also were never expecting a virginal type woman. No, I'm only marrying a virgin. I'm only marrying a woman who's had sex with one person before me. Like, you have to be reasonable with your expectations of what you're looking for.
Oh,
You
look,
can't
look.
expect someone who's going to sleep with you in the first like few weeks in the getting to know you process, but you're only marrying virgins. Like, wait, what?
Oh, what? Oh, first of all, that whole virgin thing. Who want that? Like that is annoying. It doesn't even. It's a waste of everybody's time involved. Like,
Oh
except for
no.
the virgin.
That's a flawed statement.
You know what I'm saying? It's a waste of every. Listen, I guess because I've been salted by the world. Like, you get, what I mean, like, you get virgins, you did that, you do that, and like, I guess between you shouldn't be having sex at at puberty or something like that. You should be waiting until you're an adult, right? Like, what I mean, I would say 21, like 18, right? 18, if possible. I'm saying this tongue in cheek, whatever, right? Trying to be politically correct, PC a little bit. Participation trophies not for everybody on this, right? And what I basically said is yes, that's cool, but when you get over the age of like 24, no. Absolutely, totally not. It's not happening. It's not that. And I don't even. And here's the thing, right? I don't. That whole virgin thing and all that other stuff. Like, I don't measure people upon like whatever the bodies of work or something over a certain age, right? Because listen, if we have sex and you over here sucking souls out of my body, no, you got some experience. let's not get this twisted.
DeAndre, I think that's a lazy man.
Yeah, you sucking souls out of the body, toes are curling up, you're riding, you're moving hips, you have ridiculous control of your lower parts. You know where to go, you have had practice. Now that doesn't mean you had multiple people. You could have just had one good dude, and he could have taught you or whatever, right? And y'all was on for the ride, and it could have been an extended relationship. I've met women that probably done had multiple dudes, and they were trash, absolute gutter,
Wow.
trash, right?
Wow.
Like,
Yeah.
and I don't mean like as in, you know, the apparatus they was using. It's just they didn't know how to use it because they were so beautiful that and they would string guys along for so long that if you were in the desert and someone gave you muddy water, you would drink it because you're thirsty,
The
right?
reality is not even that, bro. It's the difference between understanding a journey and a destination. The problem is men are only destination driven and not enjoying the journey that it takes to get there.
Yeah, you know what? I agree with you, and you are right. But after spending 6 months on a boat full of men, I don't care about the damn journey. Like now, if I have time, and you know, and if I have time, and I have like I can see the brother poetic here, like if you are born with certain innate talents and you perfect those talents and you have this certain charisma about you, you won't if you get it on abundance, you don't necessarily have that issue. You love the journey, you seek something more. But you know, when I'm trying to get to the store, I don't care about the roses out of the concrete. I'm trying to get to the store, I'm trying to get my bologna and cheese and get back in the house and eat it. You know, because cartoons on, right? Now, once I get older and I get to the place where the bologna and cheese is preferable, like I can get that at any time, right? I want something more, but then I start being a connoisseur, right? I start like, you know what, let me move up to the steak. Let me see what a medium rare steak tastes like. I might not like it. I may like it. Oh, let me try this with this type of wine. Let me try like, you know, let me try something that's more wet, more dry, more okay, well, I like these wines from Chile versus the wines from Italy. Okay, let me try this a little bit. Let me try that.
Me too.
Experience.
Was that Char? Oh, Char.
Yeah, I like wine from Chile better.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, some people it you know what I mean, like I'm a cognac guy, but I just started getting on whiskey like 3 years ago. Didn't think I would ever like it straight. But I was like, oh, I like whiskey, but it's only certain ones. I'm only going to drink Johnny Walker Platinum or Hibiki 21 or 17. There's certain things that I will try and will not try, but it's all about in things. Now with Ruby, she said she's an oddball, but she's not, because Ruby's mindset would, like me having been in Europe, the women are straightforward. They ain't no playing. It's just straight up. Like you talk to a Spanish or Italian woman or a French or a German woman, they ain't no playing. They will, if you have a good conversation, y'all are talking, she will tell you straight up, hey, what would you like to eat for breakfast? That's their word for, you're coming back with me, but then you got between the time that she said it and the time you get there to mess it up. And she'll leave you at the door with the door shut in your face until you have a good night and move on. So she's just putting it out there right now that I am attracted to you to the point where we can physically do something. But what are you going to do to mess it up between then and there? And then what Poetic Art is saying is that's the journey. Now, for young men, they got to kind of get their reps in, and this is how men are. Like, you got to get out of that mindset. But it's just like anything else. Women, you know, long as you look great, right? Not great, but above average, right? You don't have that issue because you're offered it at a daily basis. If a man walks through a door and he doesn't stop to hold the door for you, or he lets the elevator shut in your face, like, and look at you straight in your face, you realize what your pecking order is in life. I'm just telling you, if a man offers to open the door for you, hey, let me get that for you, or oh, hey, go in front of me, or this, just that courtesy, and he doesn't have to be sexually attracted to you, but just to see a beautiful woman not being encumbered by her wasting her time, that's an offer. Women want the journey, men just want the conquest, because, you know, the very likelihood of a man getting it offered to him like that is like slim slim to none, unless you come to certain countries where there ain't that many of you, like the one I'm in, where you just walk down the street and then you fall into it. It's like, oh shit, it's here. Oh damn, I got trapped. You got me.
See, but okay, I will give you that. I'll give you the fact that okay, military, you only got so long where you got access to women before you back on the boat. Okay, I get you. Fine. But I'm gonna say for the rest of these people who spend all their time on dry land and totally available, something Poetic Art said makes so much sense, and I was sitting there in my head, and it clicks with what I was thinking, which is, what happened to the other bases, and since when did we think it was okay to regularly skip? And we haven't even done first base, but we're still looking for home. Like, I'm confused about that. It made me realize this is why a lot of people end up sucking at everything they do, from first base to home, because they don't end up realizing that part of the whole making out process and rounding those bases is it's like you have to be good at first base in order for you to move on to second base. And until you master second base, you don't get to hit third base. Now we think about that like it's like this thing. And once you've learned how to run through all the bases on one woman, well, there you go. Now you're a specialist. Like, every woman's body is different. And I think the thing is that people, as Poetic Art said, they care so much about getting to home so they can tell everyone they got to home and feel like they got to home, that they're forgetting about that process of getting to home slowly, learning this woman's body. And like, you want to become her best sex, you better figure out how her body reacts to stuff and what's going to work best on her, not what worked best on some other chick 3 chicks ago or whatever, but what worked well on her, which you can't know if you're skipping to home base on the second date. You don't even know anything about her, let alone how her body reacts to stuff. I'm just saying.
Hey, Ruby, mind if I say one thing?
Go ahead.
A man can accumulate experiences and become a pretty damn good Swiss Army knife. Just saying.
I am going to have to disagree with you. I really am. And that is to say, and this is not just, okay, fine. Given my experience as far as how many men I've slept with, messed around with, is relatively low. But I have girl talk all the time. And a lot of women have had the same experience as me, where they've been surprised where in their top like 2, one of them is damn near a virgin, if not completely a virgin. And why? Because he was willing to take that extra time and energy and effort to learn you and not just try to apply whatever works on everyone else. And I've had that experience. Like, I had to sit there and untrain my husband from his ex because he thought everything that worked on her and that was great on her was great on me. And honestly, some of the stuff she like to me was like borderline almost painful because I don't like that. It doesn't work for me. To give you what experience, I don't know. His ex really liked when you pull up the clitoral hood and go right for the clit. And for me, that's way too much stimulation. It's uncomfortable, right? But he kept doing it. And I couldn't figure out why he would do it when I would gently correct him in the middle of the process until he told me, well, she said that this is better because it's more intense. And I'm like, but it's not better for me. So it doesn't matter how many women you've had experiences with and how many tricks you've learned that work on other women. It still might not be the good thing for me. See what I'm saying? And a lot of people end up learning that some of their tips and tricks just aren't really that great. And if you're with a woman who's honest, she'll probably tell you about 35 to 40% of the stuff you think are like go-tos. Everyone's just been really nice because that shit kind of sucks. I'm just being real. Sorry.
No, like I'm like,
Wow.
what you're saying is what you're saying is true. And that is I'm like, that's unrefutable. And and you both are right? Where you're the I'm like, you know a lot, but you're the master of none. That doesn't necessarily that doesn't translate over with a lot of women, right? But that comes from, how should I say it like this, right? The guy that does it above average, but not like over that, right? Because like I said, like what I was taught by other men is like this: you don't want a BDR, right? So a BDR is a bad dick report, right? You don't want.
Is that really a term? Bad dick report?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, bad dick report. Yeah. Only the woman can give you the bad dick report, right? The BDR, right? right? You don't want any of those, right? Those are that's your stop. Because like you say, you have girl talk, right? You have girl talk, right? And that will go around, right? It will get out. Someone will that will be spewed out. So you don't want that, right? But what you also don't want in a dating scenario, right, is you don't want to go to eclipse into what they would call wedding night sex, right? Where like wifey sex, like love of your life sex. You don't want to hit in that and peaking in that situation over and over again. Because what happens, and not all women, you know what I mean, but when you get into there and then you don't reciprocate the same emotional feelings, but you're just doing the physical part with them as a man, now you run into the bricks in the back of the car window and the slicing of the tires and the whatever, because you're hitting in a emotional state that is well beyond what you as a man is ready for, right? So you got to kind of gauge in between those two fields, with that, like, basically you do better than you don't get the BDR, but you stay out of the wifey sex, right? You don't go over that. And if you stay in that margin, you can keep yourself in a nice frame, and also you can always reach a higher level when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? And
You know
most
what?
women is it more mental than physical.
This so makes sense. Okay, so I'm thinking about a conversation that we had on Max's women's panel, right? And so all the ladies, first of all, they're like, I can't believe you, because I said, like, yeah, no, every guy I've slept with, I've had like literally that experience. It's like, ooh, can blow your mind. You see stars, like you think that you're on a different planet. You can't even walk afterwards. I'm like, yeah, that's happened to me. With every guy, yeah. But then I realized something now that you just said that. I'm like, well, if you're having, oh, I don't know where the echo is coming from. Somewhere. Okay, good. No, it's still here. Can you hear that too? Or is it just me?
No, I hear it.
I hear it too. Let me
Uh,
try poetic and see if it counts.
What is it?
okay, let's see. Okay, we're good now. Um, so see now what happened is I just realized something with what you're talking about. So if you are having sex at an earlier stage where you're still casual, still dating other people, still trying to figure each other out, haven't fallen in love, and blah blah blah, you're not sure if you want this to go the distance or not, well then you're going to be aiming towards a different type of sexual encounter and a different type of pleasure. Then once you've gotten to that place where you're like, nah, I'm going to marry this chick. Yeah, I want to be with her forever. I was madly in love with her. So kind of it explains to me at least why it is, hey, maybe that's why I've had a more kind of consistent report from guy to guy, because we took that time to, go around those bases real slowly before we got anywhere near home base. But also it's just the fact that what's his intention? He's all right for trying to hit for, I capture her soul forever and she's mine forever, because, by the time we're having sex, we're already kind of on a 2-year plan towards, hey, and obviously most of those relationships fell apart. I only got married once, but, still it's like, what was their intention at the time? And, with all of my relationships, I've always been like marriage minded. I've always looked for people who were, like minded with that. I want to get married. You want to get married. You want to have kids. We're going to create a family, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And we're going to do that together. Okay, cool. I've always been like that. So that kind of makes sense. I get it now.
Yeah, I'm like, and in that situation, now the reason why younger people, because what you were saying earlier, you didn't understand, is because of technology, right? The younger generation, they do first, second base through texting, through dating apps, through social media, right? Through their FaceTime, because now you can look at a person. Now they turn the camera on and then you can talk, right? And you can see all of this, and they doing all the little the key stuff, right? You know what I'm saying? Like the duck lips and all that other crazy stuff, right? Then when they meet up in person, we going straight to home base because we already done this. But the problem is that the connection is severed because they never did it in person. They were always over an electronic device, right? They're always taking the top angle, right? Not the full body shots, right? They always it's this weird thing that's going on, where they're not in each other's personal space. And when they do get in each other's personal space, they say nothing. They'll actually sit up there and text each other right next to each other, within 5 feet of each other, right? And I would say this virus right now is actually weeding out those things, and people are realizing that they need to be in physical contact with each other to get to know the person that they're going to be with, maybe on short term, maybe on long term, right? And that's
but then like, don't you differentiate though the difference? Because I mean, and I absolutely agree with you when it comes to getting to know people and building intimacy and stuff, but like, do you guys not differentiate between kissing and, you know, getting to, you know, I don't know, touch a girl's boobs and then, you know, getting to finger her and then sex? Like, are those not different stages for y'all? Like, that's all the same stage? Because to me, that's all very different. They're all big, huge stages. Like, oh my God, he touched my nipple. Like, I think that's huge, right?
You gotta realize, Ruth, like, we grew up like, if you're younger than a 90s child, right, you realize the progression. Like, we grew up at a different time frame, right? Whereas the generation that are 90s and over, they grew up in a microwave time frame, right? Like, we grew up in, I'll just say like this, okay, porn, the only way you can get porn is through a VCR tape, right? Did it with the DVDs. Now you can just get on your phone and just, and it's there. Right? Right? It's there, right? So if you're bombarded with, my only way of being in communication or relationship with a woman is through this apparatus. My sex education comes from porn, right? I remember sex education class was horrifying. You didn't want to have the penis with the cauliflower on it, right? Like, you didn't want that, right? You didn't want none of that, right? Like,
oh my God, like, syphilis was the scariest picture. I still have, like, right now I can see that horrifying syphilis image, and that was it for me.
Nobody wanted strawberry dick.
Nobody wanted, right? Like, and they would, like, and it was, they were scaring you straight, but it was controlled by adults, right? You were scared to ask certain questions. You had to ask that older cousin or older sister, or that really younger auntie that you was cool with, that could probably tell you certain things in your girl talk sessions, right? And if you would hear rumors, hey, such and such was kissing such and such behind the bleachers in the school, right? Now you go to proms and kids are just making out in the middle of the floor doing the dance, and the teacher doesn't say anything because they can't, right? So the way we view things, we're kind of old fashioned, because I remember before, like, you know, before you went out on a date, like the way my aunts used to tell it when my uncles would date them, they had to come to the house. They had to have a relationship with their brothers. They had to get the cosign between the brothers and whatever, and they would sit in the front room and have a conversation, and then they would leave, or they would be on the porch. You had to knock on the door, you know, say whatever. You know, the mom would come out, or the father would come out and say, hey, man, you've been coming around here a little bit too much. Maybe you should give it a week or so. You can see it next week. Okay, I'm sorry, sir. I'll see you later. And he'll leave. It was called courting, right? Before you could get to the point of taking that woman out somewhere. And then the parents would give her that emergency $20 just in case he was acting stupid, to jump in the car, jump in a cab and bring their butt home, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was now it moved up to something different, and now we're seeing this evolution of things, right? And for us in our age bracket, it's difficult, because even with my kids, I had to reevaluate how they needed to engage with girls, right? Like my oldest son, he had a girl come to the house that was older than him, you know, whatever, but he was, you know, older, he was grown, whatever. And this chick, she had like an allergic reaction to something. We didn't know what was going on, right? So we called the ambulance for her. No problem. She left. It was a storm happening. She was back at the house the next day. I'm like, yo, what's going on? Like, what's wrong with your allergic reaction, right? And he said, oh, she's allergic to dogs. We have 2 dogs in the house. I was like, hold on, wait a minute. She said, no, I'm fine. I got my medicine. Now, as a parent, I was like, are you crazy? But as a dude, my nigga, you doing it. She coming back, even putting her life on the line for. Give me a high five, right? I had to call him outside. You know, I'm a petty dude. I was happy that my dude was putting it down like that. But I'm like, yo, you straighten it up. It's good. It's great. All right. She look a little stupid, so don't get her pregnant because you had some stupid kids. Pull out.
Oh no!
You know what I mean?
You didn't.
You will,
Of course, you said that.
Listen, Ruby, if you had an allergic reaction at a person's house, right, and they had to call the ambulance, the parents had to call the ambulance for you, right? You would not show up the next day.
Well, no, because I put it this way. What I think she's probably allergic to is latex, or something that was not the dog's, and that you could just not repeat tomorrow. You know, buy some polyurethane condoms. You'll be good to go. Your throat won't close this time.
You're not going to show up the next day. Like, you know, you know, some shame would come over. Oh my God! Like the parents, like we didn't know what they were doing in the room, and then it was nothing, whatever. But you know, he pays rent, so you know, he's an adult, so to that nature. So, but even when that happened, I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Get somebody with some sense, right? And so. With that being said, it's a different modicum because it's technology. Now you just don't talk to the person in your block, within your circle, within your school. Now you can actually have access to someone across town in another state or so, right?
Yeah.
Like this is crazy how how this newer generation, and I'm saying for the 2020 and over, right? They have access, worldwide access that we never would have.
True.
Right? Like, you know what I'm saying? And now the whole dating thing is ridiculous. It's like dating now is long distance based, right? When you have access to someone every day, or you can get a hold of them, like even text messages, you know, you can text someone on the other side of the planet. And have that connection, but you don't know if they breath stink. You don't know like if you like what they wear. You don't know if you really like what they eat because they're just following a profile and they're just following along and then they acquiesce. And you don't know if you're really getting that person because you can't fake body language.
Well, let's also talk about the fact that there's a whole TV show called Catfish with way more than one season, if I heard correctly. So
yes.
There are professional catfishers out there. This is what they do. They will pretend to be the opposite gender, different races. It's not even just like they're catfishing you because they're really actually ugly and fat versus beautiful and thin. Like, no, like they will fully catfish you. Like they will pretend they're a gay man when they're really a straight woman. Like this.
Yeah. I'm like, people get off on that. Like it's like this. If I was nerdy, clunky, or whatever, I can create a whole different persona through this electronic device, right? Yeah. And you're getting to know that instead of who I am. That's like if someone talk about how women got fake boobs and fake butts and they put on mascara and wigs and this and that and third, that's way worse than any of that stuff if you consider that thing even plausible, because you still have to meet that person in person and you still have to see if you like that person for who it is. Like,
have you seen the show The Circle? It's a Netflix thing. Now there's the original The Circle, which is American, and then there's The Circle Brazil, I know, that just came out. And so what it is they got a bunch of people, like I can't remember how many they start off with, let's say like 10 or 12 or something, and they put them inside of this like hotel or whatever. And these people, for the amount of time that they're there until they're voted off the island or until they win, the only way they can communicate with anyone is through this social media. Like they set up like a thing called like Facebook. But you can catfish, right? So people brought 10,000 pictures of someone who's not them. And people catfished some guy pretending he was his girlfriend, and he got to the very end. People pretended they were, really thin and beautiful when they were, and straight when they were chunky lesbians, and all kinds of stuff, right? And it's so funny because you watch these people really make these emotional reactions and connections to words on a screen and to a couple profile pictures. And it's like, you don't know these people, but that's the way that everyone's minds have been trained, is that this social validation online is starting to count for as much, if not more, than real life validation, real life attention, real life anything counts. Like, I don't care if my girlfriend is hot in real life. When am I going to see her in real life anyway? But look at all her pictures, right? Like, that's what it is. They want to be able to show their friends, yeah, look at the hot girl I'm dating. Look at her pictures. You know, and it's like, do you care what she looks like in real life? Do you care how she looks at you? Do you care how she touches you? I mean, I don't even know if people make those nuances. And I would want to ask Herbert, I don't know if he's still here, but Herbert, if you're still here, I have a question. So I want to know, with this whole sex, you know, dating exchange thing, my question is, if she was willing to go through some of the bases with you, but not all of them. So let's say, you know, first base, maybe even second base, and she was willing to, you know, sexually engage with you, but she just wasn't willing to go all the way home. Would that count as her fulfilling, quote unquote, the deal to you, or is it not good enough unless she goes all the way home? I had to ask that question because I don't know. I don't think that in this day and age, I don't know, maybe because we don't value that intimacy and we don't understand its power because we're so busy brushing it off in favor of this online crap. You know, we don't realize what a big deal mentally and emotionally, especially for women. Maybe men, not as much emotionally, but for women, mentally and emotionally, sexual contact is a big deal. It doesn't matter how much she's brushing it off or pretending it's not and pretending she's there for the D and da 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 da. You know, sexual contact and sexual congress in general is a big deal. You know, and it really does impact you, and it really does change your psychological makeup every time you decide to engage sexually with someone. So, you know, it's like, I think maybe because the importance or value or how big of a deal it really is being so downplayed in this day and age, maybe that's why men are just kind of like, oh, I shouldn't have to pay for a date. I'm going to scam my way into a free date. She's going to pay and blah, blah, blah. Because they don't really understand that it's not a direct parallel. You know, it's not a direct thing. Well, I paid $20 for her movie ticket, so she owes me, like, you know, a hand job at least or something. Like, they're not comparable.
I'm gonna say, like, what was the biggest thing that kept people from having sex is and kind of thwarted it was what is it? Oh, you know, if you know, they used to tell girls, hey, if a guy kiss you, if a boy kiss you, you're gonna get pregnant, right? Right. And then they would say certain things, but because of you know society evolving, you know, abortion laws and stuff like that, there isn't a recourse from sex. It used to be STDs and pregnancy. Pregnancy was the biggest one because it's a whole life. You got to deal with this person forever. The man would be shotgun weddings, you know, stuff like that. And then when the government decided for both parties to give you an out, like a reset, right? You know what I'm saying? That's what they would propose is the whole, and they let, you know, and they let people think that this was a good idea for the whole abortion thing because it gives you an out. It gives you a off the hook thing, right? Where people don't need to, how should I say it? Be cognizant of what they got to do, right? So the woman is the holder of the gate of life, right? And the man is the key to the gate of life, right? Right. So if once the woman allows this man without, like Cerulean was said, you know, doing what he needs to do, providing and protecting, right? Or, you know, or showing some aptitude to do this, then, you know, it's on both parties. So now that you strip away pregnancy, right? You strip away the pregnancy part, right? Then now people are just willy-nilly doing what they want. People are having more sex, but less babies, right? The birth rates are actually low, right? But people are still they're having sex more at a higher clip than they did in any other part of, and I'm only speaking from the American side, American history, right? Right? They're having more sex, right? People are living longer, but they're having less babies, but they're having more sex. So what is this being shown? Well, we just saw recently the repeal of abortion laws in the southern states, right? The defunding of Planned Parenthood and things of that nature. So this obviously basically plays a greater role. If you make it if you put having a child as a risk again, right? then you will see the clamping down of the legs. The chastity belts will virtually come right back on. Like,
Mhm.
and and because men have to do a lot for that to happen, for a woman to feel comfortable to feel that way, for her to um, let you have the entry into her womb like that. It takes a lot of work. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of finagling too for on the guy side, right? We got to do a lot. You know what I'm saying? If dudes could walk around naked and get some women, oh, we'd be naked in a minute. Like, we'd be naked in a minute. You know why men got pants? You know why
Why?
men got pants? Because we decided that it was better to work in the field with pants, right? We be still walking around with them little sheets on, them togas. They easy access. You ain't got to do nothing. Yeah, you
That
just got
does sound comfortable.
it's just comfortable. They got quilts. They got quilts in in Scotland and stuff like that, right?
They doing it.
Hey, yeah, easy access. And it protects the male genitalia, right? You're just walking around. You got pants. Pants keeps it more. You're fighting in the wilderness, so having pants on keeps you from getting all that work around the male orifices, the lower male orifices, right? So we have to understand everything policy and things play into the human psyche. But I have had plenty of women where I have good relationships with, where it took a while before we got to that point. Um, and but then there's a different type of woman, right? Like Ruby would be considered like, I'm like in my circles of people that I grew up with and the elders that taught us, Ruby would be considered a all season woman, right? An all season woman is wife material, right? She's thinking about marriage things. She has a moral compass and she has values that she is not going to waver for anything. She's going to tell you how it is, and you don't never have to wonder, right? That is
Mm-hmm.
that is an all season woman, which you would say the wife, the wife material. You have a summer woman, the woman that you have fun with, the woman that looks great, but she's exuberant. She likes to go on an adventure all the time. She likes to do stuff. If she likes to have sex, she has to have it in different places, like like out, like at the park, like on the beach, some over here, like on the thing, right? That's a woman where all your juices are flowing, right? But then you have the winter woman where she's more conservative. That doesn't mean she doesn't like to get wild and stuff. It's just she likes to do it behind closed doors, and she likes to keep that public persona of chastity. But she may be like way worse when it comes to her body count than the summer woman, right? Then what you would have is the fall woman, which has some she's more conservative, um, but she has some adventurous side to her. And then you have what you would call the spring woman, where she's more adventurous, but she does have some conservative to her. Now, the whole monicum of that is you don't take a summer woman and bring her into the winter, and you don't take a winter woman and bring her into the summer, aka cuffing season and all of that stuff, right? And there's just different nuances in their time of life. Now, this is what was taught to me. It worked for me because I've been with my wife for 17 years. She is a all-season woman, right? She has different parts of her, but at the same time, those parts that are her wild, exuberant side is usually saved for me in behind or wherever we're at, right? And she worked through that. She didn't get to that automatically. She worked through that to get to the being the all season woman, right? But that doesn't say that she got there by herself, right? Because she helped me be an all season dude. And then we worked there together and we got to be all season together, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's just something, that's just my take. Everybody has a different philosophy on it, but I guess for my generation, that would kind of work better and they would understand it better. And with this newness of these social media apps and stuff like that, this technology, a lot of women are not built to be a summer woman, but it's more attractive to be one.
Well,
No,
thank you
they're
so
being,
much for that. That,
yeah.
that that's quite interesting, and we probably pick this up again. More of this as far as relationship part. But I want to thank you all for joining in, participating. I really appreciate it. Those that have contributed to the channel, thank you so much. And tomorrow I'll do a stream. It'll be a shorter stream. We'll talk about some articles, some things that I found, and then I'll find something wild and share that with everyone. Also, again, please be safe. I ask you guys just to be safe, please. And if you have some time, come see me tomorrow. We'll have a little fun, get our mind off of all the seriousness, and um, yeah, come on by and check us out. As far as the time tomorrow, I'm not for certain. I know it'll be after 5 p.m. Central. Other than that, I couldn't tell you. But come check us out. I'll put it up kind of early so it'll be in the on your feed. You'll bump into it, and if not, if you don't see it by 5, just go to the channel and check, and you should see something. But until then, please be safe and hope to see you guys tomorrow. Peace.
Cheers, y'all.